So Lightroom's brand new AI-powered Denoise dropped a few weeks ago. Have you tried it out yet? If you haven't, don't worry, I'm going to take you through it, and we're also going to discuss how it can fit into your workflow. Hi, I'm Charlotte Reeves from Unleashed Education, and you tuned in to another editing toolbox video where we share one quick tip, trick, or technique to help make your pet photography editing life easier. So Lightroom has had their own set of noise reduction tools for quite a while now, but in recent years there's been some really great new AI-powered noise reduction plugins and programs released. One of those is Topaz, which I've been using for quite a while now. When Adobe announced the new Denoise in Lightroom Classic and also ACR, I was dying to try it because I really like the idea of applying noise reduction to the raw data, and that's exactly what this does. So let's jump into Lightroom and have a look. So here we have an image that I have edited. This is what the raw file looked like. So I've done some adjustments and also added some masking. Now this image was shot at ISO 6400, so it is pretty noisy. So previously in Lightroom, we've just had these manual sliders here under detail. So we've had sharpening and also the noise reduction sliders here. Now, generally I will add a little bit of sharpening, I'll add some masking so the sharpening doesn't apply to the background, and also add some luminance noise reduction and a bit of color. And it gives an okay kind of result, but it's not fantastic. Now, there's a new magic button, and that magic button is called Denoise, and it's located right here. So when we click this, it is going to give us a preview of the Denoise. Now, I wish I could make this window bigger, but hopefully that will come in a future update. But as you can see, we have a little preview here and we can scroll around. And as we're scrolling, when you click and hold, it will actually show you what it looked like before. So if we move this to an area with some background, you can see how much noise was in there, quite a lot. As soon as you release, it will show you what the image will look like when you click Enhance, and what a difference it's going to make. So you've got one slider here, and that is the amount slider. So as you can see, there is still a little bit of noise in the background. I actually like this because it makes it look like a photograph and not some sort of computer generated graphic. So I quite like a little bit of noise in the background. I'm probably going to leave that there, but if you need to, if the image is really noisy, you can actually take this amount up. And that's going to smooth out that noise detail even more. So I don't think we need to go quite that far with this image. I'm probably going to stay around 50 for this. I found that's a pretty good number for most images. Now it's also giving us some extra information here. It said that the estimated time it's going to take is 35 seconds. I've got a pretty up-to-date computer, so if you do have an older computer that doesn't have as much processing power, it will probably take longer. It's also got create stack ticked. Now you can untick that if you want, but I would recommend keeping that ticked because what happens when you click Enhance here, it's actually going to create a duplicate of your raw file, and that's going to be in DNG format, which stands for digital negative. Now that digital negative is still a raw file format, so you can still do all your raw file adjustments to that file. It's just got that noise reduction inbuilt. Now this new noise reduction is not available for files other than supported raw files, so you won't be able to do this with JPEGs or TIFFs or PSD files. So when you click Enhance here, if you look at the top left, it's going to sit there and create the new DNG file for us. So that's been created, and I sat there and counted, and it did take around about 30 seconds. So it is quite an accurate number that it gives you. Right, so here is our denoised file. Now, looking around, you can see how amazing the quality is, but what we're going to do is compare this to the undenoised file, so the original raw file. If you have a look down in the timeline here, you'll also see that it still looks like you've only just got the one file, and that's because those two images have been stacked on top of each other. So the little 2 up in the corner tells you that. If you want to unstack those, you just need to click on that little 2, and then it puts those images separately again. So the first image is the DNG, and it's also appended the name enhanced NR to the end of that. And then the second image there is the original raw file. So let's take these into library and compare them. All right, so we've got these two images side by side. On the left is the original raw, on the right is the new GNG file with the noise reduction applied. So let's just have a little bit of a scroll around. I've linked these two so that you can kind of see them both at the same time. If you go down into a really noisy area like this area here, you can even start to see some kind of noise patterns in there. But on the right, it's virtually totally gone. I'm not seeing any crazy patterns in there. It's all very nice and smooth. Let's have a look in a detailed area. So let's look at the face here. As you can see, it's super clean now. All the edges are very clean. You can see individual hairs on the edge of the fur, so much more detailed now. And then let's have a look at this very bright sort of bokeh area at the top. Super clean, super smooth. A really amazing job. It's just so impressive. So let's talk about workflow now. I'm just going to stack these back again. So if you have a bunch of files that all need denoise doing to them, you can do them all at once. If we go back into develop, I'm gonna select these two images here that are also a little bit noisy and need some work. So I'm just gonna hold down Shift and multiple click those to select those. Now, if we go across to Denoise and click that, it's going to tell us that it's going to enhance two images, and you'll have to use the same amount for both images. So we can just click enhance two images and it will go through and do the denoise on both of those. You can do as many as you like, basically. It's just going to take a while if you do a lot and if your computer isn't very fast. So another way that you can speed things up is to hold down Option, and as you'll see, the three little dots after denoise disappear. So if you click denoise now, it will just apply the last denoise settings to the images. So that's a quick way of applying denoise if you're pretty sure that whatever the last amount setting was is going to be good for the images that you want to convert now. So I guess the question is, do you apply denoise to all your images as standard? Now, not all images are super noisy and need denoising, and I would only really apply this new denoise to those images that you would normally take into Photoshop and use Topaz as a plugin or whatever other program or app you normally use to get rid of heavy noise. So it's not something you're going to be applying to the whole session. So what happens if I want to make further edits to the file? Well, you can do that because it acts just like a regular RAW file. So you can go up, you can change the exposure, you can add some extra masks, you can do whatever you need to do, and this DNG file is going to react in exactly the same way as your original RAW file, which is awesome. So because they're stacked, it might seem that it's also making those changes to the stacked file underneath, but it isn't. So just keep that in mind. So if you make some changes to your DNG file, you might just need to copy and paste those changes onto your original RAW file if you want to keep them synchronized. So these extra DNG files that Lightroom creates, are they something that you're going to want to keep? Well, let's take a look at the file sizes. So if we have a look at the file size of the original CR3 file, so the original camera RAW file, you can see it's 55 megabytes. If we have a look at the DNG that it's created, it's actually 195 megabytes. So it's actually about 4 times the size. So it is a very big file. If you're worried about filling up your hard drives, my recommendation is to actually delete these DNG files after you've finished editing the session. I don't think you really need to keep them if you have the original RAW file, because you can always just run denoise again if you need to. This is also assuming that once you've finished editing the DNG file, you are exporting into Photoshop for further editing, and it's going to end up as a master file, which is either a PSD or a TIFF file. So you probably don't really need to keep the DNGs if you're worried about hard drive space. So if you decide you want to start from scratch with your adjustments to the RAW file, you can actually go to the DNG file and reset. And it will reset it right back to the RAW file, but still with that denoising applied. So you can basically start all over again on the edit if you would like to. So I think that pretty much covers everything that you need to know about the new denoise in Lightroom. If you've got any questions, or maybe you've tried this on some images of yours and you're excited to share the results, please post them in the comments. Hopefully you've enjoyed this editing toolbox video, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.